Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Prisoner Officer Podcast. This podcast is a place to talk about the forgotten cops in this country's jails, prisons, and correctional centers. A place for me to try to make sense of a career spent working inside the fence with some of the greatest people that nobody sees or recognizes for the important job they do. You know, 1 in 5 Americans works non-traditional hours, including the many staff working the off shifts in our prisons. Someone has to be there. Although they may say they enjoy these off shifts, it affects them. It affects their families, and it affects their mental and physical health. I've worked in corrections for more than 28 years myself. 22 of those years included shift work. One of the things I found the most challenging over the years is working midnight shifts. I'm okay with evening shift, although it kills your family time, but midnight shifts always kicked my ass. I was always an overtime hound to start with. We needed the extra money. You know, kids are expensive and they always need new clothes, violin lessons, band trips. There was never really a chance to stop saying yes to overtime. And working off shifts was another way to get premium pay, and we always needed a little bit more money. So missing a little sleep or slamming extra cups of coffee or Mountain Dew was par for the course. You know, I could go in on day watch and stay 16 hours until midnight. No problem. But if you put me on midnight shifts for a quarter, I was useless. I felt useless. And, you know, shift work can do that to you. I want to share something I found on Facebook the other day. I don't know who wrote it or when it was written, but I thought it was a very good way to look at what we experience as correctional staff working the off shift. So here goes. Night shift doesn't suck. Staying up all night doesn't suck. Drinking coffee all night long doesn't suck. What sucks is constantly trying to function as a normal human being when the sunlight comes out. It's having insomnia on your nights off and being forced to still be awake during the day because you have to go to the store, appointments, work out, or hang out with your family because they think you're ignoring them. It sucks passing out in the middle of the day and feeling like a failure because you had a to-do list and all you did was sleep. It's feeling guilty for sleeping when in fact you are sleep deprived. It's waking up to random phone calls in the middle of the day because that's when people call you. And you don't put your phone on silent because you're worried work is going to call. It's driving home in the sunrise while screaming and slapping yourself so you don't fall asleep. It's having to constantly explain to someone that you know that you don't work till 9 a.m., but you have to take a nap to stay awake all night long. It's people not understanding that it wouldn't be normal for you to wake up at 2 p.m. and start your day. But most night shifters start their day at 4 p.m. It's the constant shadow of exhaustion that never goes away. It's being asked what's wrong when you're just tired. You're always tired. It's feeling sick because you don't sleep enough, or you ate too little or too much, because you're not sure if you should eat all day while you're home or all night while you're at work. There is a lot I like about the actual night shift, but don't think for a second it doesn't come with a sacrifice. It will never get easier while attempting to have normal days on your day off and then going back to pulling all-nighters. I'm not looking for sympathy here, just expressing frustration and to ask you to please try not to judge the bags under our eyes. And like I said, this is anonymous. If someone can tell me who wrote this, I'll gladly credit them. But I read this and, you know, only someone who's worked off shifts can understand the thoughts of this anonymous author. One of the things I sympathized with the most was the writer talking about slapping yourself to stay awake on the drive home. The warm sun through the windshield, you start to nod, slap. I've done this. I've done this a lot. I've made it home and not even remembered the drive to get there. You know, we talk a lot about always being on your toes when you work corrections, but if you can't remember the drive home, how well do you think your awareness is at work while you're out and about around the inmates? You know, listening to others talk about working shift work, I know that I was one of the lucky ones, though. My wife, Kathy, gave up her career to stay home with our children. And this meant that no matter what shift I was on or what overtime I took, there was always someone there to watch the children. But that didn't mean that shift work didn't cause problems for us. It meant that when I worked midnights, Kathy would change their schedules to keep the kids quiet. It meant buying expensive blackout curtains for the bedroom. Instead of running errands when it was convenient for her and the kids, she would schedule errands while I was asleep. And then they would tiptoe around the house, or she would try to keep them outside. Besides the stress it caused on them, I always felt guilty because they had to adapt everything to my schedule. I felt guilty because I was either too tired to interact with them or distracted by thoughts of when I might steal another 30 minutes, sleep. But that was just part of the whole shift work and rotating days off schedule. There also is the holidays and the special occasions. I grew up with a father who was a fireman, so I was used to it. He would work 24 hours on and 48 hours off. And that meant for us, every third Christmas fell on the day before or the day after the 25th of December, because the 25th, Dad was at the fire station. It meant that he wasn't there for every third birthday or every third track meet, but it was just part of life as a public servant. It irritated me, but I got used to it. And even with my crazy schedule in corrections, we always did our best. Our holidays were never what you would call normal. Either the kids would have to, open presents at 5 a.m. in the morning before I left for work, or open them when I came home from a midnight shift, which, usually left me wore out and not the most festive parent they could have wished for on Christmas morning. I can't remember a Halloween that I was either not at work or sleeping, to get ready for work. Maybe once I was there to, take the kids trick-or-treating and do the whole costume thing. And sometimes, this affected our extended family. When it would involve everyone when they'd hold Thanksgiving dinner until I got off work. Or we would eat early so I could get dressed and go to the prison for evening watch. Sometimes I'd try to go early so I could relieve someone, get them out of there early so they could get, to the holiday with their families. Although shift workers like us make do, study after study shows the effects lack of sleep and working non-traditional hours has on the human body. We are not only tired, our immunity is lowered, our stress is increased. There's a decrease in good hormones and an increase in our weight and hunger. Our bodies were not meant to stay awake at night indefinitely. So what can we do about it? Well, a little self-care for night shift workers can make a big difference in your health and wellness. Here are some of the recommendations if you're working night shift. First, manage your schedule. If you have the option, choose less frequent rotations. Work a shift for 3 weeks rather than rotating to a different schedule every week. And you may have to try more than once to get away from the off shift. I worked with an old guy named Pete once, and every midnight shift he would complain that he was never picked for day shift because the major didn't like him. And I felt sorry for Pete. I hated, that he'd been on midnight shift for almost a decade. And then I promoted and found out that Pete had put in for day watch once, didn't get it, and had been bitching about it ever since. You may have to try more than once to get away from the off shift. Planning your sleep. Schedule blocks of solid sleep. This is critical. Power naps are valuable too. Studies show that naps of, 40 to 60 minutes are the best duration that can help you catch up, but it doesn't replace a solid block of sleep. A couple of things that I did, maybe some tips I can give you, and one is to buy blackout curtains. That allows you to get the light out of the bedroom so that you can close your eyes and at least feel like, the sun's not shining. And also, you may have to create a sleep area in a quieter part of the house. Change something up to where you can go to the back part of the house, and it helps the family too, if they can be in the front part of the house without having to worry about disturbing you so much. And speaking of family, make sure family and close friends respect your sleep. You have to talk to them. You have to let them know how important sleep is to your health and safety. Turn your phone off, and if you have to, give them someone else's phone number if it's just that dire emergency that they need to get a hold of you. Probably one of the biggest ones is nutrition. Plan your meals ahead of time. Bring food from home. Not only it's less expensive, your own food is conveniently ready when you get a few minutes and you can sit down. Frequent meals protein, fruits, vegetables are not only healthy, but the freshness of the food may be invigorating. I know we like a candy bar, but the sweetness of an apple can give us that boost sometimes also. And stay away from the convenience store. That food is horrible, and I guess worse yet is the food in the vending machine at the prison. Stay away from that stuff. Be careful with caffeine. I see people all the time, who drink a gallon of Red Bull or Mountain Dew, every day. You can do that for a while, but that stuff does have lasting health effects as you get older. Another thing that'll help is, stay in touch as much as you can. Social isolation is a risk associated with shift work, so maintaining social ties is critical to your mental health and the overall levels of happiness and enjoyment in your family. Remain involved in as many family and social functions as possible. And like I said, I missed a lot of them. But if you can, go to that band concert. Get up and go to that track meet. It means everything for you and for your family. And finally, schedule exercise. Create an exercise routine that works around your schedule. It may be tough, but midnights is often a very sedentary job, and your body needs that exercise more than ever. Well, there's just a couple of tips. I hope they help. And I'll sign off now so that you can go and get some sleep, because I know several of you have to work an off shift tonight. For those of you looking for more information on managing your sleep, health, and wellness as a shift worker, I do recommend the book, Making Night Shift Work, a practical guide for the night shift worker. And it's written by Dr. Stephen Frey, F-R-E-I. This book, as well as others, can be found in the Correctional Leadership Library on the Prison Officer podcast page at www.theprisonofficer.com. I have created a section there to highlight some of my favorite leadership books, as well as many books suggested to me by my mentors and guests. If you see a book you like, click on the cover. That takes you to an Amazon affiliate link, and you can order, and your purchase will support the Prison Officer. If you haven't already, check out the Prisoner Officer podcast on Facebook and click that little follow button or leave us a message. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Google, or Spotify, click the subscribe button. Till next time, I'm Mike Cantrell. Watch your back, and please take care of each other out there behind those walls.